Hello, you're back with Beetle, back on Heroes V Hordes. Today we're going to be looking at the best way to play the Spirit Shaman. Just before we jump into that, just wanted to point out that around 90% of the people that watch my videos aren't actually subscribed, so any support on the channel would be much appreciated. And now we'll just jump into the dungeon event with the Spirit Shaman. Here he is, here's who we'll be using, level 49 still, and we'll be going into the dungeon event, which is sort of fresh. 0 kills is the limit on the new sort of session. And there we go. The first run that I do, I will be sticking on top of the tortoise mainly at all times. The other run, right at the start, the first 30 seconds, I'll stay on top of them. But then once I have my own weapons, I've got a few level ups, I'll sort of just play it as a normal run with any other character and let the spirits do their things, and I'll focus on trying to kill the creatures. But for this run, I stay right on top of the spirits, mainly the tortoise, and healing them up, making sure that they all survive and live as long as they can, and obviously that they get the speed power up, the attack boost, etc. So that is what I will be doing in this run, and that's the comparison that I have often wondered what is the best method in terms of trying to utilise the Spirit Shaman best, because you can stay on top of the spirits, but obviously then your own attacks sometimes can't be as useful. So in this run, I think I do use slightly different weapons. Here I've tried to use longer range weapons, so the arrows, the bombs, the chain lightning, just because they will still be able to do their full damage as I'm staying on top of the tortoise. Obviously, if I had the divine aura, possibly the fire orbs, they wouldn't be utilized as best, just because I'm on top of the tortoise. It's not as if I'm running through the enemies. So that is what I will be trying. Unfortunately, I do end up having to get the dragon breath there just by luck, or unlucky, I should say. But I actually feel, especially towards the mid and end game of the run, the dragon's breath does actually become quite helpful. But all the other weapons and upgrades and tomes are actually really good for this sort of build that I'm going for, where I'm staying on top of the spirits and letting the other weapons that are longer range doing their damage. So I have actually often wondered what the best way to play the Spirit Shaman is, just because his attack, having these 3 spirits, isn't as sort of normal as pretty much any of the other heroes. So, if you have the Frost Wizard, the Fire Wizard, the Dark Ranger, they all have their own attack, which is obviously easier to sort of know how to get the most out of that weapon, is just sort of aim it at the most enemies and hope for the best. Whereas with the spirits, it's a bit more complicated. Obviously there's 3 of them, you can be on top of them, they all have their own buffs when you do that, but then it also depends on what other weapons that you get, and I'm pretty sure that there is a sort of a perfect build for this, and I actually feel what I end up in this run isn't far off what the perfect build would be. Maybe I would swap the Dragon's Breath possibly for the Arcane Beam. Not too sure though. I'd have to do a few other runs to compare, but I'm actually pretty happy with what I end up in this run, and I have done it to the best of my ability to try and get as many kills as I can. I even don't get unlucky in upgrading the spirit staff. It does get quite relatively high level quite early on, so I do feel that the spirits definitely do the damage. As you can see there, they pretty much just run through all the enemies. As soon as they're on the screen, I keep upgrading the damage as well, just so that the spirits are able to continue to do what they do and kill the enemies. And I feel that the kills do go up pretty quickly. And obviously they can also collect the orbs that are on the floor as well to help you level up, so there's never too many orbs that are left behind. Every now and again when the sort of healer magnet comes up, here's one now, I do always collect them, but as you can see, you never get that many from them, just because there's never too many left on the floor. So the level ups generally do come quite quicker when you're using the Spirit Shaman. Also, I should say, in this run, I run past the power-ups that are on the ice, as I wanted to try and be as fair as I could, and if I'm staying on top of the tortoise, then I'm not able to collect those power-ups, whereas in the next run I do use those power-ups. So I was thinking, my sort of hypothesis coming into this comparison was that this would be the most efficient way to play the Spirit Shaman. Obviously you'll have to stick around to the end if you want to find out which one does have the most kills, but I thought this would be the best way. Obviously, if the game gives you the ability to power up your spirits by staying on top of them, that should be the most efficient way to play the game. So my current loadout at the moment is the crossbow, the bombs, the chain lightning, the dragon's breath, and obviously the spirit staff. I also managed to get the crossbow leveled up fully relatively early on, and I feel that the crossbow is probably one of the best weapons, especially for the dungeon event, and I actually have the projectile speed tome, which does allow for the crosswing there. I do think that the crosswing possibly it is a very good upgrade, but I don't think it actually kills too much more than what the actual crossbow does. So I got the bomb. I'll get the crosswing as and when needed. In fact, I get it from that chest, so I don't really have a choice. But as you can see, the crosswing is still an excellent weapon to have on the screen. That in conjunction with the sort of spirits that I'm staying on top of, there's pretty much not a lot that is getting through. So as I say, I think I actually have a really good build here for the run that I'm trying to do, staying on top of the spirits whilst the crossbow upgrade and the chain lightning is getting across all of them, and there we have it. There is the first run. Crosswing was top with the crossbow in second, and the spirit staff in third. So that is pretty much what I was expecting, as they were also the highest levels. And in terms of total kills, 12,764. I thought it could have been higher, but that is actually still a very good run for the sort of the experience that I thought. And now we'll jump into the second run, which is still same Spirit Shaman, still level 49, and we'll just jump straight back into the dungeon event. There you can see the record's still 12,764, and for this run you'll see it's a bit different. Obviously, I don't have a weapon right at the start, so I'm still best to sit on top of the spirits whilst they do their thing. First weapon I get is the lightning, so I was still best to sit on top of the tortoise, but now I have the dragon's breath, so I will keep now I pretty much just ignore the spirits, do my own thing, let the spirits get their kills if they want to, and I'll just carry on. So here I can get the poison darts as well. I'm just pretty much trying to get a build that is slightly different to what I had in the first run. Fire rob's obviously going to be a bit more beneficial when I'm not on top of the spirit. I can just run through the enemies, so I suppose it's a bit more of a closer range build mixed in with the chain lightning, and possibly one or two other of the longer range weapons, but here it doesn't matter as much. I suppose it's just more how you play it and the look of when the upgrades come or not. There I just got the damage upgrade, as I want to make sure that I manage to try and kill them as quickly as possible, as well as allowing the Dragon's Breath Evo tome. So that is what I got there. Maybe also worth highlighting, it's I can, because I'm not staying close to the spirits, I can get the power-ups as well in the ice as and when they break. Generally I don't go for the freeze ones, as I don't think they're that good. It's probably not worth the time it takes to try and smash them, especially at this stage when I don't really have the projectiles for it. But either the magnet, the boxing glove, or the dragon probably are worth it. So that is just something to note. So I wasn't actually too sure which was leading at this stage. To be honest, I can never actually remember how many kills I've got at what time. So I am obviously still just trying to get as many kills as I can, still trying to beat that 14,000. And interestingly, by the 7-minute mark, there was less than 20 kills between the two runs. So that just shows how close it is. And that's actually a lot closer than I thought it would be, especially at the sort of start to mid-game, where I thought sitting on top of the spirits would actually be a lot more beneficial, as you don't really have the sort of weapons to maximize your own killing potential. I thought sitting on top of the spirits and letting them do their things would be better, but it sort of seems like at the moment
moment it's relatively even. The 20 ahead was actually for this run, which is relatively surprising, but obviously 20 kills is nothing in this type of game mode. So we will keep going and see which sort of performs the best by the end. And it's interesting because you can sort of see when I'm running around using the Dragon's Breath, I'm killing a lot of enemies. You can sort of still see at the sort of peripheral of the screen that the spirits are still killing enemies. They do interestingly follow you around, and if they get too far away, then they will disappear and just sort of reappear by your side, and whichever way that you sort of face and start moving, they will move that way. I've never really noticed that when I'm trying to stay on top of them. It's not something you pick up on, but when you're sort of doing your own thing, you do notice what the spirits are doing. But they do still manage to get quite a lot of kills, even if you're not sat on top of them. And then if or when they die, they don't take too long to respawn. So, I mean, all of this is what I was thinking before, and why I wanted to do this comparison, as I was never really confident that just sitting on top of the spirits was the best way to do it. There we managed to pick up the Thunderbolt relatively early on. I think it was slightly earlier than when we got the crossbow upgrade, but that got to level 5 quite a bit quicker. So I guess it's somewhat even. It's hard to say which is best. I think we have obviously got the Thunderbolt early, and that is probably the best upgrade that you can get. So I hope that doesn't skew the results too much, but obviously there's only so much I can do in terms of trying to get the exact same weapons at the same time with the same upgrades. I think that would be pretty much impossible. So this was the best I could manage, but I still think it's a relatively fair comparison, especially at the start and mid game, where the upgrades aren't as much, so it can't actually influence the game as much. There we just get the fire orbs rather than the spirit staff. I suppose that's showing one of the differences between the runs, where I'm not really focusing on the spirits now. They're doing their things. They are still getting kills, and probably not as much as the first run, but here the sort of main damage dealing is what I am doing with my own sort of weapons and upgrades. Trying to be closer range with the fire orbs and the Dragon's Breath, as well as having the lightning upgrade as well. And here we've just surpassed 10,000 kills with over 1 minute left. So this I felt was actually becoming quite a good run. I did feel it was actually going to be really close. Remember, the record we're trying to beat is 12,800 and something. So I did think it was actually going to be exceptionally close. And it was at this point we actually managed to get the flame wheel. So now we have 2 Evo weapons. The flame wheel, especially in the build that I'm trying to do, where I'm not staying on top of the spirits, flame wheel is an exceptional weapon to have, as you can never really take damage and you can just run through all the enemies, especially with the damage tome that I've got. Unfortunately, I mean, I only got it around 15 seconds before the end, but there we have it. Thunderbolt being top, then Chain Lightning. Surprisingly, Spirit Staff was still third. But I suppose we didn't really have too much time to let the flame wheel do the damage. But there you can see the total kills, 13,039, which was around 200 kills more than when I was playing the Spirit Shaman as intended and just staying completely on top of the spirit. So that was a surprise to me, that doing your own thing, not really paying attention to the spirits, is possibly the best way to play. Although it is that close, it's hard to tell for sure. But I suppose it has shown that there is more than one way to play the Spirit Shaman, and staying on top of the spirits isn't necessarily the best or only way to play them. But there we have it. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please do give the video a like and consider subscribing. It really does make a lot of difference, especially to a smaller channel like myself looking to grow. But thank you very much, and I will catch you in the next one. Cheers.